Beloved, today is not an ordinary day. Today, as we gather in the spirit of faith, I want you to understand something vital. Limits are not meant to define your life. They are meant to be broken. Many of us live under ceilings that we ourselves have accepted. Ceilings in our career, in our relationships, in our spiritual growth, in our health. But I am here to tell you, there is a God whose power is bigger than any ceiling, bigger than any barrier, bigger than every limitation the enemy has tried to place on your destiny. Prayer is not a mere ritual. Prayer is the lever that shifts the natural and opens the supernatural. When you pray with expectancy, when you pray with authority, you are engaging with the force that can shatter impossibilities. Do you understand what I'm saying? What has held you back until now, the doors that seem locked, the opportunities that seem delayed, the dreams that seem far away can all begin to move at supernatural speed the moment you engage in the right kind of prayer. Beloved, today I want you to understand something that will change the trajectory of your life forever. Many people live their entire lives under limitations they think are permanent, as though those walls around them are unmovable. They walk in fear, in hesitation, in compromise, believing that some things are just not possible. But I'm here to tell you that these limits are not God-given. They are either human-made or satanic imposed. The truth is, every limitation that has tried to hold you back, whether in your career, in your finances, in your health, in your relationships, or even in your spiritual life, is breakable. And the instrument that breaks it is prayer. Prayer is the supernatural lever that shifts the natural. It is the key that unlocks doors that no human effort can open. When you engage in prayer with faith, with expectancy, with authority, you are activating a force that is far beyond your understanding. The Bible says that the fervent prayers of the righteous availeth much. This means that your prayer is not just words. It is a power, a force, a spiritual energy that can demolish every barrier standing in your way. Think about it. Some of you have been waiting for years for something to happen. You have prayed, yes, but perhaps without understanding the weight, the authority, and the expectancy that prayer carries. Prayer is not a routine. It is not simply speaking to God. Prayer is engaging with heaven to change your reality on earth. When you pray rightly, you are not negotiating with God. You are accessing the supernatural dimension where limits do not exist. Limits exist in the natural realm. They exist in time, in space, in human reasoning, in circumstances, in the opinions of men, in the weight of your past failures, in generational curses, in delays, in disappointments. But God exists outside of those limits. His spirit moves faster than time, higher than circumstances, stronger than opposition. And when you pray with the spirit of authority, the spirit of God begins to break chains, tear down walls, and remove every obstacle that has been slowing your progress. I want you to understand something very clearly. The problem is not with God's timing. The problem is often with human delay. Sometimes you are holding on to limitations because you have not fully engaged in the kind of prayer that shatters them. You have prayed, but you have prayed without intensity. You have prayed, but you have prayed without expectation. You have prayed, but you have prayed without realizing that prayer is your license to walk beyond limits. When you pray with understanding, the supernatural begins to manifest. Your ideas will start moving faster. Opportunities will begin to appear. Relationships will begin to accelerate. Doors that were long closed will swing wide open. What has been slow in coming will come suddenly. Your life, once bound by limitations, will begin to experience momentum that is beyond the ordinary. This is why this prayer is so critical. It is not just about asking God for help. It is about activating his power to break every ceiling over your life. I want you to visualize this for a moment. Imagine every barrier, every restriction, every impossibility in your life as a wall. Some of these walls are small, some are tall, some are thick, and some are invisible. The enemy has built them to contain you, to limit you, to convince you that you cannot rise beyond a certain point. But prayer is like a spiritual bulldozer. When you pray with authority, when you pray with faith, when you pray with total expectancy, these walls begin to crumble. Stone by stone, obstacle by obstacle, limitation by limitation, the power of God dismantles them. Do you know why so many people never move past their limits? Because they rely on human solutions, human strategies, human timing, and human effort. And human effort has its boundaries. But prayer taps into the unlimited, the infinite, the eternal. It moves what is impossible into the realm of possibility. It turns delay into acceleration. It changes seasons. It shifts mountains. And when you pray in this kind of faith, you begin to walk in supernatural speed, the kind of momentum that makes you arrive at your destiny faster than you ever imagined. So today, as we prepare to pray, I want you to make a choice in your spirit. Declare that no limit will hold you. Proclaim that every chain will break. Say within your heart, I will not be slow. Head down. I will not be delayed. I will not be stopped. My life will move at supernatural speed because the God I serve is bigger than every barrier. This is not a wish. This is a decree. When you engage in this prayer, every limitation, whether visible or invisible, will begin to dissolve. Prayer is not a casual activity. It is the weapon that demolishes limitations. When heaven begins to respond to your prayer, your progress will not be natural. It will be supernatural. Your acceleration will not be by force of will alone. It will be by the power of God. And the life you have imagined, the destiny you have longed for, will begin to manifest because you have chosen to pray beyond limits. Beloved, limits are meant to be broken. Chains are meant to fall. Walls are meant to crumble. And prayer is the instrument that brings it all down. As you pray today, I encourage you, come with expectancy. Come with faith. Come with authority, and come ready to see the impossible become possible. Today, every limit over your life will begin to break, and the supernatural speed that God has prepared for you will begin to manifest. Beloved, one of the most powerful truths you must understand today is this: supernatural speed is a gift from God. It is not something you can manufacture with your intellect, hustle, or effort alone. It is a divine endowment, a release from the Spirit of God that propels you into your destiny faster than human reasoning or natural timing could ever achieve. Many people operate at a slow pace because they are trying to rely on themselves, moving inch by inch, waiting year by year, as if life itself has no acceleration. But God has designed a supernatural velocity for his children, a speed that surpasses the ordinary, a momentum that accelerates answers, opens doors, and brings manifestation in ways that seem impossible to the natural mind. You see, the Bible teaches us that God's ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts higher than our thoughts. And this is true not only in understanding and revelation, but also in timing and movement. There are moments when natural effort is insufficient, when diligence alone cannot deliver results, when waiting is not enough. It is at that moment that God's supernatural speed is released. It is a gift for those who are ready to receive it. And this prayer we are about to pray is designed to unlock that gift in your life, to remove the delays, and to push you into accelerated favor and breakthrough. Supernatural speed is not just about being first. It is about entering God's timing before your season passes. It's about walking into opportunities that others are still waiting for. It is about moving in a realm where obstacles do not have the power to delay you. Imagine for a moment how your life would change if you could walk faster than delay, run faster than opposition, and move in alignment with heaven's schedule rather than human schedules. That is the essence of supernatural speed. It is God himself moving ahead of you, clearing the path and creating shortcuts where there were none. Many people fail to experience this speed because they do not understand that it is a gift. A gift is not earned, it is received. You cannot manufacture it by overworking yourself or trying harder than everyone else. Supernatural speed is released when your life, your spirit, and your faith align with God's purpose. It is a product of divine favor, spiritual readiness, and persistent, expectant prayer. That is why it is crucial to position yourself in prayer, to declare your readiness, to release your faith, and to say, God, I am ready for your speed in my life. I am ready to move faster than limitations, faster than delay, and faster than opposition. Consider the story of the early movers in Scripture. There were individuals who, by their obedience and faith, were lifted into seasons of acceleration. Their steps were divinely ordered, their paths cleared, and their destinies advanced at supernatural pace. This is exactly what God intends for you, whether it is your career, your finances, your ministry, your relationships, or your spiritual growth. There is a velocity that God has ordained for you, a speed that will catch your enemies by surprise, that will astonish your peers, and that will position you exactly where heaven intended. Supernatural speed also carries with it wisdom and discernment. It is not reckless haste, it is a focused divine acceleration. When God releases speed, he does not simply make you fast, he makes your steps effective. You will not just move quickly, you will move accurately, hitting targets, opening doors, and seizing opportunities that align with your purpose. This is critical because speed without direction can lead to mistakes. But God's gift of supernatural speed always comes with divine alignment. It ensures that every move you make is purposeful and fruitful. I want you to understand that delays are not always denials. Some things take time in the natural, but in the supernatural, God can release acceleration in a single moment. A breakthrough that would have taken months can come in a day. A promotion that seemed impossible can manifest in an instant. A relationship that has been stagnant can spring to life with divine movement. That is the nature of God's supernatural speed. It defies the ordinary, it exceeds expectation, and it transforms waiting into momentum. This gift is available to you, but it must be activated through prayer, faith, and obedience. You cannot wait for it passively. You must position yourself in the Spirit. You must declare, Lord, I am ready to walk in your speed. I receive your acceleration. I will not settle for natural timing, for I have a destiny that demands supernatural movement. When you pray like this, when you believe like this, you are not just asking God to bless your steps. You are inviting him to propel you beyond limits, beyond delay, beyond human comprehension. Beloved, the gift of supernatural speed is not selective. It is available to all who are willing to receive it. But it requires a mindset shift, a spiritual posture, and a readiness to move with God's timing. The moment you position yourself in prayer, the heavens respond. Your steps begin to align with divine acceleration. Opportunities that seem distant draw near. Favors that were delayed arrive suddenly. And the life you have imagined begins to unfold at a pace faster than you ever thought possible. So today, I encourage you, release yourself into God's hands. Activate the gift of supernatural speed through prayer. Declare that your life will move faster than delay, that your destiny will not be postponed, and that every area of your life, spiritually, physically, financially, relationally, will experience acceleration. Supernatural speed is a gift. Receive it, embrace it, and allow it to propel you into the destiny God has prepared for you. Beloved, there is a truth that many people overlook, yet it is one of the most powerful principles of acceleration in life. Supernatural speed only operates in alignment with God's will. You can pray, you can fast, you can declare, you can strive. But if your life is not aligned with the purpose and plan of God, the speed you desire will be hindered. The natural world moves according to human effort, but the supernatural world moves according to obedience, submission, and divine alignment. If you want limits to be broken and if you want accelerati on in your life, The first requirement is that your life must be in sync with God's perfect plan. Alignment with divine will begins with understanding that God has a purpose for your life that is unique, specific, and intentional. No one else can walk your path. No one else can fulfill your assignment. And no one else can experience the speed God has prepared for you in the same way. When your life is aligned with God's purpose, the heavens open, obstacles dissolve, doors swing wide, and favors that are meant for you find their way to your doorstep. But misalignment brings delay. It brings frustration. It brings moments where you feel like you are moving, but nothing is changing. Many people pray for speed, for breakthrough, and for acceleration, yet they experience continued stagnation because their lives are out of alignment. Perhaps it is pride, perhaps it is disobedience, perhaps it is focusing on what looks good rather than what is God's perfect plan. Acceleration cannot thrive where there is resistance to God's will. The faster you want to move, the more critical alignment becomes. Without alignment, speed is wasted energy. It moves you, yes, but not in the direction of destiny. But when your life is aligned, every step you take is productive. Every move is fruitful, and every season of delay is replaced with divine momentum. Alignment is not passive, it requires intentionality. It requires listening to God's voice and obeying even when it does not make sense natural. Why? It requires a heart that says, Lord, not my will, but yours be done. It requires surrender, humility, and a willingness to let go of your own plans in favor of God's plan. And here is the powerful part. When you align with God's will, supernatural speed automatically follows. Opportunities come faster than you can imagine. Relationships, finances, spiritual breakthroughs, and career advancements begin to move at a pace that defies natural explanation. Think of it this way. The natural world has its own timing, but the divine world operates on God's schedule, which is not only perfect, but accelerated for those who are ready. When a life is aligned with God's will, even things that seemed impossible become possible. A project that has been delayed for months, a blessing that has been postponed for years, or a dream that has felt unreachable can suddenly manifest in a moment because alignment allows God to move freely without resistance. It is not about trying harder. It is about positioning yourself in the right place spiritually so that speed can be released. Alignment also protects you from wasted effort. Many people move fast, but they move in the wrong direction. They exert energy, they run, they strive, but they are not going where God intends. Speed without alignment is chaos. But when your life is perfectly aligned with divine will, your speed is precise. Every action becomes strategic. Every decision becomes effective. Every breakthrough becomes permanent. God is not just want you to move fast. He wants you to move in the right direction, at the right time, with the right impact. This is why prayer for alignment is critical. You must continually ask God, Lord, am I on the path you have prepared for me? Am I walking according to your plan? Are my desires, my ambitions, my actions aligned with your purpose? When you ask and receive confirmation from the Spirit, you position yourself to experience acceleration that is not only rapid, but sustainable and fruitful. Misalignment may give you temporary bursts, but alignment gives you lasting momentum that fulfills destiny. Beloved, alignment with divine will also require a commitment to holiness and integrity. God cannot accelerate a life that is marred by compromise, rebellion, or deceit. Supernatural speed flows best through a clean vessel, a heart that is fully devoted, and a life that honors God in every area. When your priorities, values, and actions match God's standards, you release heaven's favor. You release divine wisdom. You release energy that propels you faster than your enemies, faster than obstacles, and faster than the delays that have tried to hold you back. Let me emphasize this. Speed without alignment can bring destruction. Acceleration in the wrong direction only leads to frustration, failure, and loss. But speed in alignment with God's will brings provision, protection, promotion, and fulfillment. It ensures that your breakthrough is not temporary but lasting, that your success is not hollow but meaningful, and that your life is not just moving but moving according to heaven's perfect plan. So today, as you prepare to pray, position yourself in alignment. Submit your plans, dreams, and desires to God. Ask Him to reveal any areas where you are out of sync. Ask Him to adjust your heart, refine your motives, and redirect your steps. When you do this, supernatural speed will not only be released, it will become your standard mode of operation. Every delay will turn into acceleration. Every obstacle will become an opportunity. Every limitation will crumble under the authority of heaven. Alignment is the key. And when you align, God's supernatural speed flows freely into every area of your life. Beloved, there is a principle in the kingdom of God that cannot be ignored. Faith is the catalyst for supernatural speed. Without faith, there is no activation of the power that breaks limits, no ignition of the momentum that propels you forward, and no access to the acceleration that God has prepared for your life. Faith is not merely believing that God exists. Faith is trusting Him enough to move, to act, to speak, and to receive before you see it in the natural. It is faith that transforms prayer from words into a force that moves heaven and reshapes the natural realm. Think about this carefully. The Bible tells us that faith the size of a mustard seed can move mountains. Mountains, not small hills, not temporary obstacles, but immovable, gigantic mountains that stand as barriers in your life. These mountains represent delays, opposition, fear, doubt, and every limitation the enemy has tried to place in your path. And yet faith, simple, unwavering faith, is the key that unlocks God's supernatural intervention. If you want speed, acceleration, and breakthrough in your life, it begins with faith. H, that expects the impossible. Faith is not passive. It is not wishful thinking or hoping for the best. True faith is action-oriented. It is a decision of the heart that says, I believe God will do what He promised, and I will act as if it is already done. Faith activates the spiritual forces behind prayer. It is the connection between your spirit and heaven that transforms every declaration into divine motion. Without faith, prayers remain words. With faith, prayers become wheels of supernatural momentum that drive you past limits, delays, and obstacles. Many people struggle to experience acceleration because their faith is weak. They pray with uncertainty, doubt, or hesitation. They ask God to move, but deep down, they are not fully convinced that He will. And when faith is missing, supernatural speed cannot manifest. The natural realm dominates, delays continue, and limitations persist. But when you pray with unwavering faith, when you declare with confidence, and when you expect God to move, the heavens respond, favor appears, opportunities align, doors open. What was delayed suddenly comes on time. What was stagnant suddenly moves. That is the power of faith. It is the catalyst that turns divine potential into immediate results. Faith also aligns your heart with God's promises. When you truly believe, your spirit resonates with heaven. Your thoughts, words, and actions begin to operate in sync with God's plan. This alignment is crucial because supernatural speed does not operate in isolation. It requires a vessel prepared to receive and move with it. Your faith positions you to take hold of the acceleration God is releasing. It makes you ready to recognize and seize the opportunities He brings instead of missing them due to hesitation, doubt, or fear. Consider the examples of faith in Scripture. Abraham believed God's promise even when the circumstances were impossible. Moses trusted God to deliver his people through the Red Sea, even when it seemed like death was inevitable. David walked in faith against Goliath, even when the giant towered over him. These were not ordinary people. They were people who understood that faith releases the power of God and positions them for divine speed. They did not wait for natural conditions to improve. They acted in faith and experienced acceleration beyond human comprehension. Faith also empowers you to speak the language of the supernatural. When you pray with faith, your declarations carry authority. You are not just hoping for a breakthrough, you are commanding it in the spiritual realm. You are declaring limits broken, speed released, and acceleration activated. Faith transforms prayer from a request into a spiritual instrument that moves heaven and shapes reality. And when combined with alignment and obedience, it becomes unstoppable. Beloved, the reality is this: God has already prepared acceleration for your life. He has already set supernatural favor, divine opportunities, and breakthroughs in motion. But faith is the bridge between what God has already done in heaven and what you will experience on earth. Without faith, you remain in the waiting room. With faith, you step into motion and your life begins to move at a speed that defies human reasoning. Faith allows you to walk into divine acceleration before circumstances make it visible. And that is the essence of supernatural speed. So today, I encourage you, strengthen your faith. Believe beyond what your eyes see. Declare with confidence that God is moving on your behalf. Stand firm in the promises He has given you. Let your faith be unwavering and watch as limits crumble, doors open, and momentum carries you past every delay. Faith is the catalyst. It is the spark that ignites divine acceleration. Without it, nothing moves. With it, everything changes. Beloved, position yourself now in a place of faith. Expect the impossible. Speak as though it is done. Act as though it is yours. Because God honors faith, He moves for faith. And when you activate faith in your life today, you will begin to experience the supernatural speed that propels you beyond every limit. Beloved, one of the greatest reasons many people never move at the speed God has ordained for them is because they are trapped in mental barriers, trapped in spiritual chains, trapped in fear, doubt, and generational limitations. These barriers are invisible to the natural eye, yet they are powerful enough to slow down destiny, delay breakthroughs, and block acceleration. Today, I want you to understand that prayer has the power to shatter these barriers, to set your mind free, and to release your spirit into realms of supernatural speed that defy natural reasoning. Mental barriers are some of the most subtle yet destructive chains. They are the thoughts that whisper, "You are not enough. It's too late. This will never happen for you." They are the doubts, the fears, and the insecurities that make you hesitate, procrastinate, or settle for less than God's best. Every limitation in your life often starts as a thought in your mind. If you allow it to grow unchecked, it becomes a mental wall, and before long, you are convinced that progress is impossible. But God has given you authority through prayer to tear down every mental barrier, to replace fear with faith, doubt with certainty, and limitation with the expectation of victory. Spiritual barriers are equally dangerous. These are obstacles placed not by the natural world, but by the enemy of your soul. They manifest as recurring patterns of delay, generational curses, negative cycles, and persistent struggles that refuse to break. Spiritual barriers often feel like invisible walls around your life. Doors that refuse to open, opportunities that vanish, relationships that are strained, health that falters, and finances that stagnate. Yet, there is a weapon given to you that is stronger than every spiritual barrier. Prayer in the Spirit, backed by faith and a authority. When you pray with the understanding that every chain can break and every curse can fall, you engage forces that shatter the enemy's hold over your life. Many times, these barriers have been reinforced by years of doubt, disappointment, and negative experiences. They have become habitual in the mind and spirit, forming patterns that seem unbreakable. But the same power that created the heavens is available to break these chains. The God who parted the Red Sea, who toppled Jericho's walls, and who raised the dead is the same God who can dismantle every mental and spiritual obstacle standing in your path. Prayer is not just asking him to remove obstacles. It is activating his power to tear down walls and replace them with open doors, clear paths, and supernatural acceleration. Breaking these barriers requires more than casual prayer. It requires intentional, focused, and expectant prayer. It requires identifying the walls, naming the chains, and declaring that they have no power over your life. Speak to the limitation, command the fear to leave, tear down the doubt, cancel the generational curse. Every obstacle that has slowed your destiny can be removed when you pray with authority and faith. The moment you recognize the spiritual and mental barriers and confront them in prayer, you open the door to freedom, movement, and supernatural speed. You must also understand that many barriers are self-imposed. Habits, negative thinking, unresolved pain, and past failures often form invisible cages around your life. You may not realize that you are limiting yourself by what you believe, by the words you speak, and by the mental images you allow to dominate your mind. Prayer works to renew your mind, reprogram your spirit, and align your thoughts with God's promises so that the mental and spiritual barriers lose their grip. When your mind is renewed, your spirit is free, and your steps can accelerate at the pace God intended. Breaking barriers also requires persistence. Some walls have been built over decades, and they will not crumble in a single prayer session. But consistent, focused, spirit-led prayer dismantles even the strongest walls over time. Every declaration, every word of faith, every act of obedience chips away at limitations until they collapse. You are not alone in this process. God's Spirit fights with you, strengthens you, and moves on your behalf. You simply need to engage, persist, and refuse to accept delay. Beloved, the removal of mental and spiritual barriers is not optional if you desire acceleration. Limits, walls, fear, doubt, and generational curses cannot coexist with the speed God has prepared for you. Every time you pray with authority, with expectancy, and with faith, you are breaking the chains that have held you back. You are tearing down the walls that have slowed your progress. You are opening the doors that have been closed for years. You are releasing your life into a new season of supernatural momentum. So today, position yourself in faith and expectation. Identify the mental chains, name the spiritual walls, and confront them in prayer. Declare that every barrier will fall. Speak to the fear, doubt, and limitation, and command them to leave. Renew your mind with the truth of God's word and align your spirit with his promises. When you do this, you will experience the acceleration you have been praying for, the breakthroughs you have been waiting for, and the supernatural speed God has prepared for your life. Beloved, no barrier is too strong, no wall is too high, and no limitation is too deep. Through prayer, every mental and spiritual obstacle can be broken. And when they fall, your life will begin to move at a speed that defies natural comprehension, a speed that only comes from God. Beloved, one of the most powerful keys to supernatural speed is the ability to declare acceleration over every sphere of your life. Many people pray and hope for breakthrough in one area while neglecting the rest. But God's plan for your life is holistic. Your destiny cannot be partial. It must touch every sphere: your career, finances, health, relationships, spiritual growth, and personal development. Supernatural speed is not limited to one area. It flows to every aspect of life when you declare it with authority and expectation. Every sphere of your life can experience acceleration when you understand the power of declaration. Declaration is not just talking, it is spiritual authority being exercised. The words you speak in faith have the power to create, shift, and propel. When you declare acceleration over your career, you are not merely wishing for promotion. You are calling for divine favor, divine timing, and supernatural strategy that puts you ahead of your peers. When you declare speed over your finances, you are not hoping for money to come. You are activating doors of provision, divine investments, and unexpected sources of wealth. When you declare acceleration over your relationships, you are not praying for mere communication. You are aligning hearts, removing delays, and creating divine synergy that fast tracks reconciliation, connection, and understanding. Every sphere of life has its natural limitations, but God has provided supernatural solutions. Spiritual acceleration is not random, it is specific, it is targeted, and it is released by your declaration in faith. Speak to your health and declare strength, healing, and vitality. Speak to your family and declare unity, love, and peace. Speak to your spiritual journey and declare growth, intimacy with God, and discernment. Speak to your business or career and declare favor, promotion, and breakthrough. Speak to your dreams and declare manifestation, speed, and divine alignment. Every declaration positions your life for supernatural acceleration. Many people fail to see the speed God intends because they limit their declarations to prayer requests that are small, passive, or vague. A declaration requires specificity. It is not a casual statement. It is a command in the spirit that aligns heaven with your life. When you declare that speed is released over your finances, career, relationships, spiritual life, and health, you are creating a multi-dimensional activation of God's favor. Every area of your life becomes energized with momentum that defies natural timing. Declaring acceleration also requires faith in the unseen. You are speaking into a dimension where God operates, where natural limitations have no power, and where favor and opportunity are already prepared. You are not negotiating with God. You are stepping into the authority He has given you. When your words align with faith, heaven responds. Your declarations over each sphere of life open doors that have been closed, create shortcuts that never existed, and accelerate your destiny beyond human comprehension. Let me emphasize this. Acceleration over one area of life is not enough. God's intention is total momentum. Your spiritual life, your finances, your health, your relationships, and your career are interconnected. Delay in one area can affect another. When you pray and declare speed over all of them, you release a chain reaction of supernatural movement. Opportunities multiply, favor compounds, obstacles dissolve faster. The life that was moving slowly begins to surge with unstoppable momentum. There is also power in verbal declaration. The Bible teaches us that the tongue has the power of life and death. What you speak with faith and authority releases spiritual energy. When you declare speed and acceleration, your words become active agents of change. Do not limit yourself to passive prayers. Speak your breakthrough, declare your acceleration, and command your destiny to move. Speak as if the change has already begun. Speak as though God has already opened the doors. Speak as though every delay has already been removed. This kind of declaration activates supernatural speed over your life. Beloved, understand that acceleration is not just about moving quickly. It is about moving purposefully. Every declaration you make over your life positions you to walk in divine timing and divine efficiency. Every area that was stagnant begins to flow. Every area that was delayed begins to surge. Every area that was hindered begins to move forward. And when all spheres of life are activated together, you experience momentum that is holistic, unstoppable, and divinely orchestrated. So today, position yourself to declare acceleration over every sphere of your life. Speak over your health, your relationships, your career, your finances, your dreams, your spiritual life, and your destiny. Command speed, breakthrough, and divine favor into every area. Do not settle for partial movement. Do not pray for one blessing while ignoring the rest. God's acceleration is total. His favor is comprehensive. His speed is supernatural. And when you declare it over every sphere of your life, limits far, LL, doors open, and your destiny begins to move at the pace God has ordained. Beloved, there is power in your declaration. Speak with authority, expect results, activate every area of your life. Your supernatural speed is released today, and nothing will stop the momentum God has prepared for you. Beloved, one of the most powerful accelerators of supernatural speed is God's favor. Favor is not something that comes through human effort, persuasion, or negotiation. It is a divine provision that precedes your steps, opens doors, and creates opportunities that you could never generate on your own. Favor is the key that releases supernatural speed in every area of life. And when it aligns with your prayers, declarations, and faith, it becomes unstoppable. Favor is what allows your destiny to move ahead of time, bypass obstacles, and operate in a realm where the natural world cannot keep pace. You see, favor is not random. It is not luck. It is a gift from God, a spiritual force that positions you for promotion, protection, provision, and progress. When favor is released over your life, doors open that no one can close. People align with you to support your vision, and circumstances shift in your favor. Every opportunity that you have prayed for, every breakthrough that you have longed for, begins to manifest as favor moves ahead of you. The Bible says that God's favor surrounds those who fear him like a shield. This means that favor is both a covering and a catalyst. It protects you from harm while accelerating your steps into supernatural breakthrough. Favor is intimately connected with opportunity. Many of us pray, work hard, and remain diligent, yet we remain stalled because favor has not yet moved on our behalf. God's favor is what makes the impossible possible. It creates shortcuts where the natural path would have taken years. It aligns people, circumstances, and divine provision in such a way that your life begins to move faster than anyone could have predicted. Doors that were long closed, opportunities that seemed delayed, and breakthroughs that appeared unreachable suddenly come within your reach. Favor is the invisible force that makes acceleration inevitable. The moment favor is released over your life, your steps begin to align with God's timing. Opportunities appear when you least expect them. Solutions arise where problems seemed insurmountable, and relationships open doors that were previously locked. Favor attracts divine connections, resources, and divine intervention that expedite your progress. It is the reason why some people seem to achieve in a year what takes others a decade. Their favor is working on their behalf, preparing paths, aligning circumstances, and positioning them for supernatural acceleration. Favor also works hand in hand with your declarations, faith, and alignment with God's will. When you declare acceleration, when you pray with expectancy, and when your life is positioned in obedience, favor becomes tangible in your life. It is like a spiritual magnet that attracts every resource, opportunity, and divine alignment that you need. Favor does not wait for conditions. It moves in advance. It precedes your steps, preparing the environment for your manifestation. When you pray for favor, you are essentially calling heaven to prepare a table of acceleration before you, a table where all the elements of success, blessing, and divine speed are already arranged for your benefit. Doors are one of the clearest manifestations of favor. Some doors in life remain closed for seasons, because timing and divine orchestration have not aligned. Favor opens these doors suddenly, often in ways that defy human explanation. You may find yourself in rooms, conversations, or opportunities you never imagined. People will come into your life to provide resources, wisdom, or connections that accelerate your journey. Situations that were blocked or stagnant begin to flow. These are not coincidences. They are divine openings orchestrated by God's favor. Many people limit themselves by praying for one area of life while neglecting the release of favor in all spheres. Favor is comprehensive. It works in every aspect of life. It accelerates your career, your finances, your health, your relationships, your ministry, and your spiritual growth. It moves ahead of you to create divine opportunities, remove obstacles, and provide supernatural assistance. When favor is active in your life, delays, hindrances, and opposition cannot keep pace with your momentum. Favor turns waiting into sudden acceleration, struggle into ease, and delay into divine timing. Beloved, activating favor requires faith and expectation. You must believe that God's favor is not limited, that it is available to you today, and that it will manifest in ways that exceed your understanding. You must declare, Lord, release your favor over my life. Open doors that no man can close. Align opportunities, people, and resources for my acceleration. Let your supernatural speed manifest in every area of my destiny. When you declare favor in this way, you are not begging, you are positioning yourself to receive. Favor responds to faith and aligns circumstances with God's purpose. Favor also carries divine protection. As God's favor surrounds you, it shields you from attacks, circumvents opposition, and preserves your progress. Your acceleration is not only rapid, but safe, directed, and purposeful. When favor moves, enemies are frustrated, obstacles collapse, and divine alignment sets you on a path of unstoppable momentum. The combination of favor and declaration ensures that your steps are productive, your opportunities are timely, and your life moves in harmony with heaven's design. Beloved, God's favor is a supernatural force designed to propel you faster than natural effort could ever achieve. When you pray for it, declare it, and position yourself in alignment with God's will, you open the door to acceleration that trap and sends delay, surpasses limitations, and positions you for breakthroughs that are divinely orchestrated. Favor releases doors that were closed, aligns resources that were missing, and accelerates your life in every sphere. It is the ultimate catalyst for supernatural speed. Beloved, one of the most powerful engines of supernatural speed is thanksgiving and praise. Many people underestimate the spiritual force contained in a heart of gratitude and a mouth full of praise. They pray for acceleration, breakthroughs, favor, and speed, yet they neglect the fuel that propels these manifestations: thanksgiving. Praise and thanksgiving are not just acts of courtesy toward God. They are spiritual catalysts that release momentum, break limitations, and invite the presence of God into your life in a way that nothing else can. Praise is propulsion. It propels your faith into action. It propels your prayers into the heavenly realms. It propels your life forward when natural means would fail. The Bible teaches that those who praise in the Spirit move mountains, shut doors of the enemy, and invite the supernatural into their circumstances. Praise positions you in alignment with God's power because it shifts your focus from the problem to the provider, from delay to the deliverer, and from limitation to limitless possibilities. When you cultivate a lifestyle of thanksgiving, you are essentially creating a spiritual engine that generates speed in your life. Thanksgiving is not limited to moments when things are going well. True thanksgiving is expressed even in waiting, in delay, in struggle, and in the seasons of uncertainty. When you thank God for what He has done and for what he is about to do, you are activating faith, shifting the atmosphere, and releasing spiritual acceleration. Gratitude has a way of creating leverage in heaven. It opens channels that complaints, doubt, and negativity cannot. It signals to the Spirit of God that you are ready to move, that you are prepared to receive, and that you are not hindered by discouragement. Praise also carries authority. When you lift your voice in worship, even in the midst of trials, you are declaring that God is bigger than every obstacle, stronger than every delay, and faster than every limitation. Praise is an act of spiritual defiance against the forces that try to slow your progress. It removes heaviness, destroys discouragement, and creates an atmosphere where acceleration can manifest. Just as the walls of Jericho fell at the sound of praise, your limitations can crumble when praise becomes the engine of your prayer life. Thanksgiving shifts your perspective. When you focus on what God has done, you move from fear to faith, from hesitation to action, and from waiting to momentum. Gratitude reminds you that God is in control, that he is already at work, and that nothing can stop his plan. This mindset is critical for supernatural speed, because acceleration in God's kingdom is not only about moving quickly, it is about moving with confidence, expectation, and divine alignment. Praise prepares your heart to receive speed in every area of life. Moreover, praise attracts the presence of God. God inhabits the praises of his people. When his presence arrives, limitations fall, obstacles dissolve, and doors open. When you combine thanksgiving with expectation, you invite divine intervention that moves before you, positions you strategically, and clears paths that human effort could never create. Praise is not passive. It is a dynamic force that releases power, activates favor, and accelerates breakthroughs in every sphere of life. Many people pray for years without understanding that their momentum depends on gratitude. You can pray, declare, and fast, yet if your heart is filled with complaining, negativity, and impatience, your speed is hindered. Praise and thanksgiving align your spirit with heaven's order. They tune your heart to the frequency of acceleration. They prepare the soil of your life to receive supernatural favor, open doors, and divine momentum. Every declaration of speed is amplified. When combined with worship and gratitude, praise also fuels endurance. Speed in God's kingdom is not always instantaneous. Sometimes it requires persistence, patience, and spiritual resilience. Thanksgiving strengthens you to keep moving forward, even when the natural evidence seems delayed. It shifts your energy from frustration to expectation, from heaviness to lightness, and from stagnation to momentum. Your prayers combined with praise become unstoppable. Your declarations become effective. Your breakthrough becomes inevitable. Beloved, the principle is simple. Praise propels, gratitude activates, and thanksgiving accelerates. When you thank God for what is already done and praise him for what is about to manifest, you release spiritual energy that cannot be blocked. It touches every area of your life, your career, finances, relationships, health, spiritual growth, and personal destiny. It ensures that supernatural speed is not delayed, that momentum is sustained, and that your life begins to move at the pace God has prepared. So today, position yourself in thanksgiving. Speak words of praise, celebrate victories, anticipate breakthroughs, and lift your voice in worship. Let gratitude fuel your faith, and let praise drive your declarations. When you do this, you are not just worshiping, you are releasing supernatural speed, shattering limits, and propelling your life into the acceleration that God has ordained. The more you praise, the faster you move. The more you give thanks, the more doors open. The more you honor God in every circumstance, the more your life experiences supernatural momentum. Beloved, make praise your engine and thanksgiving your fuel. Let them drive your prayers, declarations, and faith. As you do, you will experience a level of supernatural speed that defies delay, defeats opposition, and fulfills your destiny in God's perfect timing. Beloved, today we have explored the profound truths that unlock supernatural speed in your life. We have seen that prayer is the lever that shatters limitations, that faith is the catalyst that propels breakthrough, and that alignment with God's will is the key that positions you for acceleration. We have understood that mental and spiritual barriers, no matter how strong, can be broken by the authority of prayer, and that declarations over every sphere of life activate divine momentum in ways that exceed human understanding. God's favor is not distant. It is available and ready to open doors that no man can close. When favor aligns with your prayers and declarations, the impossible becomes possible, delays are canceled, and opportunities move at supernatural speed. And as we close, remember this: thanksgiving and praise are not optional. They are the fuel that sustains momentum. When your heart overflows with gratitude and your lips lift words of worship, you activate acceleration, attract divine intervention, and position yourself for every breakthrough God has prepared for you. Or not allow limits, delays, or opposition to slow your progress any longer. Today, declare that every barrier falls. Speak to your finances, your health, your relationships, your career, and your spiritual life, commanding supernatural speed into every area. Release your faith and expect the impossible. Trust that God's favor is moving ahead of you, opening doors, aligning people, and creating opportunities that no human effort could produce. Beloved, the season of delay is over. The power of prayer, faith, alignment, declarations, favor, and praise is now at work in your life. Step forward with confidence, knowing that every limit is broken, every chain is loose, and supernatural speed has been released. Your breakthrough is not far. It is already moving toward you. Stand, decree, and receive. Your life will never be the same again.